Hi, everyone. I was saying that, well, first of all, thank you for joining us today. For you to know, we are going to record this training. So I hope you're all comfortable with that. We're going to add this training to our YouTube channel. And I think we're going to be waiting a couple of minutes more for more people to join. I see we're at 21 right now. In the meantime, you can check in the chat. If you haven't downloaded Tableau desktop yet, you can do so by clicking on the link. And there you will also find the link to our database that we're going to use today. So please, if you haven't downloaded it yet, proceed to do so. And feel free also to submit questions through the chat. I will try to answer as many questions as possible. So Emma, shall we wait a couple more minutes? What do you say?
I would say that we can actually start because I can see that it's almost everybody here. So if you pick it up slowly, then sure, everybody can get up to date. Yeah.
Let's do that. All right. Wait a second. I'm having a moment of issue with. That's not how that works. Let's have the navigator here. That makes it easier. All right. Welcome everybody again to this Tableau Basics training offered by the Information Lab. We are experts in Tableau and Alteryx. My name is Gaia and I'm a consultant in Tableau and Alteryx. Again, before we begin, please make sure that you have installed Tableau Desktop and that you have downloaded the dataset that, oh, I see a question. Hi, did you share the link? Yes. I'm gonna share it again. Maybe you all cannot see it in the chat. I'm gonna share both. Okay, please let me know if you can see now the links in the chat. All right, so if somebody hasn't downloaded Tableau, please proceed to do so. Again, we are gonna need Tableau Desktop. Some of you might be familiar with Tableau Server or Tableau Online that your companies might be using, and Tableau Desktop is the app version of Tableau, and we're gonna use that today. So first of all, well, if you have some questions about the Tableau environment, well, there's a lot to it. We have Tableau Prep, we have for data visualization, Tableau Desktop, and to share and store our visualizations, we have Tableau Server, which is hosted on your company server, or Tableau Online, which is hosted on the Tableau servers. And yes, last but not least, we have Tableau Public down here, which is an environment where you can show your visualizations and share them with the world, and it's completely free. So before we move forward, I'd like to start with a quote from one of my favorite Zen masters. And it goes like this: if there's one thing I've learned about Tableau in the 4 years I've been using it, it's that you can make it do pretty much anything. Even those things that seem impossible usually aren't. So that's been true for me as well. I used to think that Tableau was just, a couple of graphs, but there's really, really a world to it. And a place where you can learn more about this is Tableau Public. So I'd like, okay, open link. Yes, I'd like to show you, wait a second. Okay. Yes, sorry guys, I have two screens and I'm at the moment a bit, okay. Yes, here we are. So I'd like to show you Tableau Public, and I think this is a really nice place to find inspiration for your visualizations and really to realize the potential of Tableau. Like the things people do here are really crazy. And the nice thing is that you can also, for instance, if I click on this dashboard, I can also download the workbook and see what people have been doing behind the scenes. So this is a nice place to not only get inspiration, but if you're interested later on, to build your own portfolio and show it to the world. So you might even want to do it at the end of this training today, because we will have a visualization to show. So I picked other of my favorite visualizations. This is what you can do with a map. And this one, for instance, is one that I produced. It's more business oriented. And if you were to go to the original viz, if you were to click on central, you would filter the whole dashboard and so on. So without further ado, you can learn all of it, and let's get started with the basics today. We're gonna go through, first of all, getting a bit familiar with Tableau Desktop and the environment. Then we're gonna connect to a data source. Again, please download the data source if you haven't already. We're gonna create our first charts, and then we're gonna go ahead and create our first interactive dashboard. Okay, so if you guys are able to, please open your own Tableau, have it open. And if you can at the same time, follow what I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and open, okay, open my own Tableau. Okay, so we're gonna start by getting a bit comfortable with our Tableau desktop environment. What can we notice in the first page when we open Tableau? First of all, you might notice that your central section is empty, whereas mine is full. And no worries about that. That probably just means that you have never used Tableau before. These are simply the workbooks, the Tableau files that I've been using and I've been working on recently. And this is a shortcut to get back to them. Down here, we have some sample workbooks that Tableau offers. Again, it's a nice way to see what people do behind the scenes. And, oh, I see a question. Hi, I don't have a file. Have you looked into the chat? It's this, I will share it again. It's download the dataset. Let me know if you managed to do that. So yes, down here we have some workbooks, and that's it. You can check them out. Moving on to the right, we have our Discover pane. This is simply a shortcut to, trainings, resources you want to find online. There's a lot of resources online, so you can check them out. And down here, a quick link to updating your Tableau. All right. Now, I hope you're all set with both Tableau and the dataset. I'm going to take a sip of water. All right. We're going to connect to our data. Okay, so if you look here on the left, we have our connect pane. We have several options. Today, we're going to keep it simple and connect to a Microsoft Excel file, but you can also connect to your Tableau server through here. So what that means is that you create your visualization on your desktop, and then you can share it with your whole company through Tableau server, for instance. You can connect to other types of servers. Maybe your company, works with Amazon Athena or Oracle. You can connect to those. And then we have our saved data sources down here. So I hope you're all following along. So now let's go on connect to a file, and click on Microsoft Excel. All right, so I already have my Superstore here, but if it doesn't pop up immediately, you can look here on the bar, Superstore, and select Sample Superstore. All right. So here we are in our data source pane. What's going on in this page? Okay, so we have, first of all, we can see here our connection. So we are connected to just one data source. We can connect to more. We're not going to do it today, but there is an option. You can connect to 10, 15 data sources if you wish to. Then we have our sheets here. And here we have the space where we are going to drag these sheets. Now, let's do this all together. Let's drag the first sheet down here, orders, and drop it here. Okay, so we have connected to our first table. And I would like, especially for those of you that are familiar with Excel, to draw a comparison with Excel, because I think it might help you to see that Tableau is not this black box that does things, but it's really just, literally just uses data files or other types of data, of course. But in this case, so this is a screenshot from Google Sheets, actually. You see the rows and the columns, and down here we have the tabs. And it's literally the same in Tableau. We have our rows and columns and our tabs. And instead of clicking on the tab, we drag it into the view. So it's as simple as that. Okay, so what else do we notice in our data source environment? We notice that, well, first of all, we have these nice columns, and these columns have some different symbols. So those of you that are familiar with data probably can already guess what these symbols stand for, but we will see. I will explain a bit later. And we see that most of our columns are blue, but if we scroll until the end, we see that some of them are actually green. And we're going to talk about this difference in a moment. Okay, so I already had a sheet open down here. You see sheet 4, but most of you should have go to sheet and sheet 1. So please click on go to sheet and select your first sheet. And you should be brought to this environment that you see right now from me. So actually I have 2 data sources because I connected twice. Let's keep it simple and have just one. Again, let's explore our environment a bit. What's going on here? So we have our data pane, and our data pane helps us check out, first of all, what we're connected to. As you saw before, I had more than one data source, and if they're different and only one is selected, we will see down here the tables for that data source. So in this case, we have one data source and we have just one table. But you can see again, as we noticed before, that we have 2 groups. We have these blue ones and we have the the green ones at the bottom. What is the difference between them? So instead of explaining, well, I will explain, but I would like to start by dragging and dropping something into the view. So you guys get also a bit comfortable with that, which is the main action you will perform in Tableau. So let's take category here and please follow with me. So drag category and drop it onto rows. Okay, so what happens here? Tableau creates 3 labels here for category: furniture, office supplies, and technology. Okay, so this is what happens. Take note of that. Let's take city again and drop it onto rows. Voila, we have a long list of city names. Okay, again, labels. Let's, by the way, maybe you haven't followed that, but if you drag and drop the field outside of the view, it will disappear. Yeah. Now let's go down to the green part and let's take sales and drop it into the rows shelf and see what happens. So you see that at this point, Tableau doesn't create labels. It creates what we call an axis, right? So what is really the difference between the green and the blue fields? Well, the green fields are quantitative data that we call continuous data, and the blue fields are qualitative data, so labels, mainly labels and names, and we call it discrete data. So that's the first thing that you can learn about Tableau. Then, without going too much into details about data type, I'm sure a lot of you understood that these are data types. So ABC stands for string. This little globe stands for geographic location. Actually, I want to show you more about this because I really like it. So if you click on the little globe, first of all, it says string because it's still, a label. You can go on geographic role and you can actually change it. Like you can, well, let's say that your label is actually location. So Tableau doesn't really know what to, in what category to put it, and you can change it into airport or county, whatever. And yes, of course, we have our dates here. And you see that we have hashtags down here and also in the blue section. What is the difference? Well, they're all numeric data, but in the discrete category, these are actually, they're literally labels. Whereas if we were to drag, as we did before, an hashtag, so a numeric value from the continuous group of fields, we would have an axis. Okay, I hope I haven't confused you guys too much about this. Don't worry if you haven't gotten it yet, you will with time. Now, okay, what I would like to do next is to demo for you what we're gonna do today. So I'm gonna go through it really quickly and show you the 3 graphs we're gonna create and the dashboard. So you can get an idea of the goal. Maybe you can get a bit excited that you're gonna learn this today, or at least you can get a sense of what it is like to work with Tableau. So I'm gonna start with a line chart. So I'm gonna double click on sheet 4. No, sorry, let's start with a bar chart. So I'm gonna write bar chart, and then I'm gonna drag subcategory onto columns and sales onto rows. Then I'm gonna order it. I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna color it by sum of sales. And that's it for now. Then I'm gonna create a line chart. I'm gonna drag order date onto columns and make it a continuous month. Again, I'm gonna drop sales to rows and color it by sales. And also I wanted the size to correspond the sales size. This is one of my favorite things in Tableau. Finally, we're gonna make a map because we love maps. And again, we're gonna color it by sales. And what else are we gonna do with this? Well, we're gonna do more later, but for now, this is good. And let's go ahead and build our dashboard. So I'm gonna drag and drop our map underneath. Gonna drag and drop our, sorry, that was the map. I'm gonna get rid of these all legends because we don't need them. And give it a nice title. So I'm gonna call it sales dashboard. And I'm gonna make it a proper title with a proper font and a proper size. There you go. Oh, last thing, I want to make it interactive. So I'm gonna click on this filter icon. And now what's gonna happen is if I click on Montana, the whole dashboard will be filtered by Montana. California, it will only show the sales for California. Last things, I'm gonna fit the entire view and hide these titles because I think it's quite intuitive what we are doing here. Voila, so this is what we're gonna do today. Now, let's take it step by step. I unmuted myself, okay. Oh, I see a question. Can you please go a bit slow, especially the dashboarding? I didn't get how you create multiple images on a single screen. Sure, yes, we're gonna do it slowly now. That was just to explain to you how to do it once you pick up a bit of speed. So answered live, okay. Okay, so I promise I'm gonna take it slow now. Okay, I hope you're all following along. So let's start with our bar chart. So actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hide all the sheets and I'm just gonna delete everything so we don't get confused. Yes, delete worksheets. Okay, so let's all do this together. Let's double click on sheet 4 or sheet 1 for your case and write bar chart. Emma, I see that people are raising hands. I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean that they want to ask questions?
Yes. So this is a webinar. So due to the setup of the event, all the subscribers are muted. So if you have a question, please drop it in chat or in the Q&A So yeah, drop it there and we will answer you right away. Thank you.
Yes, please don't be shy and ask questions if you want. So let's do this all together. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna drag our subcategory. So again, this is a string field, it's a label. Kindly start from uploading the data from Excel. All right, let's go back for a second. So just, okay, so we're all on the same page. Let's connect to a file, click on Microsoft Excel and select Superstore. So the data that you should have in your chat, click on it. I'm gonna do it again. You're gonna open and drag and drop orders into the view. Okay? Okay, I hope you all are on the same line right now. So now I have, as you see, just for you also to understand, you can have multiple data sets. So I'm gonna delete one of them, but please don't do the same because you will be left with just none. Okay, I see that we're all on the same page now. Okay, perfect. Let's drag and drop our subcategory into columns. Okay, and let's drag and drop our sales into rows. Cool. So as I showed you before, I like to order my bars. I like for them to be ordered usually from larger to smaller, but it can be the other way around. And why is that? For instance, if I have, you see chairs and phones, at first glance, okay, now that I've been looking at it for a while, I can see that phones is a higher amount, but it's not really immediate. So I want the user to immediately catch what they're looking at and to draw conclusions. So the way to do that is we go on our axis, on our sales axis, and you see this small icon that pops up. Click on it. It's as easy as that. So now we have no doubt that phones has a higher amount. Also, you can see this little rectangular shape that comes up. That's called the tooltip, and it has some default. So now by default, it shows us the fields that we have dragged into columns and rows. And yes, that's also a way to check out if we're indeed correct. And yes, phones has more sales than chairs. Now, as you noticed before, what I did was to turn this around. And the reason is that really, I don't like to turn my head when I look at a graph. So this is not really convenient. And if you go up here, you see this little icon with two arrows, swap rows and columns. Click on it. Voila. Okay, now I like also to color my bars by the amount of sales because I want to see again at a glance. I want the fields with the highest amount of sales to be darker and those with the lowest to be lighter. So let's drag sum of sales onto color. Beautiful. Now there's nothing wrong with Tableau default colors. Blue is a very peaceful color indeed, but I want to change it. And actually, let's click on color. Click edit color. And you will see an automatic palette. So you can do several things here. One thing you can do is to click on this square here to the right and select a color that you would like. For instance, I remember that red is DF0000, I think. So if I select this, for instance, if I click on apply, I have a sequential custom palette. Okay, so you can really come up with your own palette, but Tableau also offers, if you click on the drop down, a series of pre-made palettes. So for today, I'd like you guys to click on red gold. So let's all click on red gold palette and apply and click OK. Cool. So now we have from gold to red. Also, I'd like to make this title a bit visible. So if you go with your mouse between the label and the beginning of the bar, you'll have this little double arrow. Drag it a bit. Yes. Oh, still not enough. Oh, okay, now we can read everything. Okay, so congrats, you finished your first bar chart, and let me know if you have questions. Actually, I want to show you one more thing here. I don't know if you're ever going to use it, but I find it fascinating that you can also not only make, not only order by color, but you can also make the size. So let's see, I don't know if I'm explaining correctly, but you see what happens? So if I drag sum of sales over size, the highest amount of sales will have the thickest bar, and the opposite for the bars with the smallest amount of sales. Now, I don't know business-wise how useful this is, but just for you to know, you can do that. I'm gonna remove it. Again, this is your dashboard that you might wanna share later. So if you like this, you can keep it. Okay, now why don't we go ahead and click next to bar chart at the bottom, click on new worksheet and double click on sheet 2 and write line chart, because that's what we're gonna do now. So I see no questions, we can proceed. Okay, let's go ahead on the tables, on our labels here. So let's pick order date. Let's pick order dates because our goal is to create a line to see our sales over time. So we need a date, and between order date and ship date, I think order date makes more sense. So let's drag order date onto columns and drop it there. So the first thing you can notice is that it's still a blue pill. So that means that these are discrete dates, so labels, right? And by default, Tableau will aggregate at the highest level. So we don't want a discrete date because we want to see data over time. And when you want to see data over time, the dates need to be continuous. So let's right click. You can either click on this small arrow here, or you can right click on the pill. And we see a lot of options. So the first options are labels. The second set of options are continuous dates. And if you forget which is which, you can see that, for instance, we're going to aggregate by continuous month. Here we have May 2015, and up here we only have May. May is a label, and May 2015 is a continuous date. Again, don't worry if you get confused with dates. It might take a while, but hang on with me, it will make sense. So again, we right click, we scroll down, and we want month and year. So this, continuous month. So let's click on it. And let's go to sales and drag it and drop it into the rows. Okay, we have our bar chart. Just for you to see, we could also make it by quarter. We could do it by year if you want, by week number, becomes a bit too much, and even by day. That's really a bit unreadable. Of course, that's always an option if you like. So let's keep it by month. Now again, I'd like to color this graph by the sum of sales. Something I haven't showed you before actually on the marks card right here is that you can also just click on color, and you can also just change the whole color of the graph. So if you want it orange, you can click on orange. So you see the interface is a bit different when you drag a field onto it or when you don't. So when you don't, you just have simple option. You know what? I want my line chart to be dark blue. Why not? Or pink. And again, you can add more colors in this section. You can change the opacity, make it a bit transparent. You can add borders. There's a lot of options. So let's go ahead and, for the sake of consistency, again, drag sales onto colors, sorry, and drop it. Okay. Now, I'd like you guys to go ahead and do this part on your own. So I would like to have the same palette as your bar chart. So I'll give you 2 minutes to go on the color, click and choose golden red or red golden palette. And do this on your own. Maybe 2 minutes is a bit too much. Okay. Okay, I will do it as well. So I'm gonna go onto my color card. I'm gonna click edit colors. Under palette, I'm gonna click on the drop down. That's the name, and select red gold and click OK. Nice. Now, in this case, I do like to bring my sum of sales onto size. I think that it's a very nice effect with the line chart. Of course, it's a matter of taste again. And so as you can see at the bottom, so the lowest values have the clearest and the thinnest lines, and the opposite is true for the highest values. If you think that this size is too high, you can click on the size card. Sorry, the size is too big. You can click on the size card, reduce the size. You can do the opposite as well. You can make it as big as you want, but again, it's a bit unreadable. But yeah, you might have a use case for that. I don't know, let me know. Cool. You can adjust the size until you're satisfied. Maybe this is a bit too aggressive. Let's reduce it a bit. Let's put it here on this line. All right. Okay, so congrats, we have finished our line chart. Why don't we go ahead and click again on new worksheet, double click on sheet and write map. Okay, now we're gonna explore our geographic data. So if you remember in the previous case, I used state for our map. This is not, it was just an arbitrary choice. You can also use city, country, region, postal code. So if you drag any of these fields directly into the view, let's drag city into the view, into the canvas. Yes, this is the immediate reaction of Tableau. It will immediately just show you a map. So let's undo that. So another thing you might notice is that that's what happened. Let me show again. So if I drag this into the view, for instance, now I'm dragging state, state will go into the detail and longitude and latitude will go into columns. This is not something that you have to do, it's automatic. Another way to create a map is to, for instance, if I go here and I drag state into rows, right? We haven't covered this yet, but do you see this here up to the right? This show me. You should see it on your Tableau as well. So show me is a very handy tool when you're a beginner, especially. If you click on it, you have a list of things you can do with the data that you have in the view. So at this point, we have already automatically tags. You see that Tableau also suggests the most, the preferred use of your data. So can you upload a web-based map into Tableau? No, you cannot upload a web-based map, but the data you can. If you have, sorry guys, I'm replying to a question from the chat. No, you can only upload the data and then you can build from there. So again, we have two options for the map. One is a symbol map. So as you see, we have this little circle, but we can also have squares. If for some reason you wanted different shapes, asterisks. I see a raised hand. Please, can you write into the chat? So the other option that you have is to click on this other map. And this is a filled-in map, so it will fill the whole state. Okay. So just a second, I'll take a sip. Okay, so there's a lot to say about maps. So if you look up in the, I hope you can see my, okay, I'll show you here, up there. If you can see, we have Tableau file data worksheet, blah, 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 and then we have map. So why don't we go ahead and click on map? We have some options here. So I would like you guys to go and click on map layers. Okay. Now, here we can really change a lot about our map. Something I like to show people is the dark mode, because it can be really cool in some situations. I see the question again. Can you upload a web-based map into Tableau? Was the per state map already populated with data, or you just linked here? So, okay, let me show it again. Okay, I get what you're, so Tableau has some defaults. So Tableau knows where Idaho is. So if you have a field, a column that has a list of names of states, and you give it a little globe here, so you give it the data type, geographic data type. So for instance, Idaho, you give it, what is it, a state? So I guess in the states, I get always confused. So state province in that case. Then Tableau will automatically create a map, and it will pin your data onto the right states. So that's all automatic. That's the handy part. Sometimes it might happen. For instance, you have very tiny, I don't know, a tiny Dutch city, like, it's not tiny, but like Hengelo. Okay, Hengelo probably is on Tableau, but like a small city. It can happen that it is not in the system, and you can add it. So you can add the coordinates. So there's workarounds, but mostly Tableau will recognize automatically your geographical data. Okay, so I hope I answered your question. So again, on map layers, we have different styles. So I imagine you guys are playing around with it. You can click on normal. I don't know why it is called normal, but okay. Then we have streets, outdoors, and satellite. Let's go back to light. Okay, so you can play around a lot here. Like you can make, for instance, add or remove coastlines. You can remove base. Sometimes I like to remove both base and land cover, like to remove actually everything. And then you're just left with the map of the states without Alaska for some reason. But it can be very, it's very clean if you like it. So for today, for sure, I would like to, so what we had, I think we had all of our names here. So you see that we can read United States through. Why? You know, we know it's the United States. So let's remove country region names and state province names. I invite you guys to personalize your map at this point. If you like it dark, I can see the dots or overlays when I drag the state onto the sheet. I'm not sure what you mean. Let me come back to your question later. Why don't I, okay, I don't know if the question is about how to create a map. Well, let's continue and see if I can solve the question. Otherwise, we'll come back to it later. Okay, now we have our simple map. You have personalized it the way you want. Again, I'm going to show you again. If you want to change it more, go map layers, and change it from here. Okay. Now, what we want to do is, again, this is a sales dashboard that we're building. So why don't we drag sales onto color? Okay. The other option we have, and here again, I invite you to choose the one you prefer, is this. We can also have a symbol map. So, okay, we have our dots, we have our symbol map, and we can drag sales onto color from here. No, sorry, sales onto size from here. So, you know, this can also be something you're interested in. Yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna choose for my dashboard the filled in map. And we already have sum of sales on 2 colors. So let's make it consistent again. Let's click on the colors mark. And if you already know how to do it, please go ahead. Edit colors, palette, red, gold, apply. And okay. Okay. Just a second, I'm checking out the questions. Okay. Now, okay, we have 15 minutes left. I think that's plenty of time to build our dashboard. Okay, I see another question. For some reasons, I couldn't see the dots on the map. I wonder if you're able to build the map in the end. Okay, let me do it again. So just for people that are having troubles, I'm just gonna show the process again. So hopefully we will all be on the same page. Otherwise, again, let me know. So we're gonna drag state and drop it into the view. And this should automatically give you these dots on the map, right? Then if we want to have a filled in map, we go on show me and we select the other type of map. Then again, we drop sales onto colors and we change the palette. If we want to further customize our map, let's go map layers. We can change the style and we can change as much as we want. Actually, I'm gonna keep this one, I think, because I like it better. And I'm gonna get rid of the other one and call this map. Okay, let me know if I was able to answer your question. And let's go ahead and build our first dashboard, you guys. So instead of clicking on the first next, which is new worksheet. Okay, I see, thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. I think answer live. Okay. Oh. Okay, I solved the problem because Tableau was thinking that the states should be located in the Netherlands. Oh, great. Yes, that's a great point. Yeah. So let me know if anybody else has that issue. I will show you what she means, or he means. I'm not sure of the name. So, new dashboard. Let's click on new dashboard and voila, we are in our dashboard environment finally. So first thing you might be interested in is that you can customize the size. So by default, Tableau shows you 1000 by 800. I don't want to make it too big because I want you guys to be able to see everything. So maybe I'm just gonna make the width a bit larger. Yeah, is this too much? Okay. Tableau has a lot of predefined sizes, so you can choose among those. And you can also make it as large or as small as you want. Okay, so adjust the size, especially if you have a big screen, you can play with it a bit. So what we want to do now is again, drag and drop. So it's very simple. We're gonna start with our bar chart, drag it, and drop it into the view. Cool. So what do we see here? We see the sheet that we produced. If we want to go back to that sheet, we can just click on the sheet and you see this go to sheet arrow. It will bring us to our original sheet. This can be handy when you have a big dashboard and also when you hide the sheets, but we can get to that if you're interested. So another thing we notice is that Tableau by default doesn't fill in all of the space you've given it. It stops right here, you know? What if we want to fill in the whole dashboard? Well, we can go on this arrow here, more options, click on fit, and you see that we have standard on. we can go directly on entire view. Voila, okay. So we see that now Tableau has expanded our bar chart as large as possible. Okay, now let's take our line chart and drag it underneath. Of course, if you like it on top, I invite you to play around with this dashboard because it's your dashboard in the end. Okay, so here we see some legends. Let's take care of those later. I like to get rid of legends, but there's also something else you can do, and I will show you. And last but not least, our beautiful map. We are gonna, again, drag it and drop it next to our bar chart. Cool. So what's missing here? Well, a title for sure. So you see here on the bottom, we have some objects. So I'm not gonna go too much into that, but if you notice, we have tiled and floating, and tiled is the default option that has been selected so far. So what tiled means is that if you remember what happened when we drag our map in, so Tableau has some predefined spaces where we can place our map. And this is to help us, have a nicely organized dashboard. But there are moments where you might not want that. You might want to just drag things wherever you want. And in those moments, you need the floating option. So we're gonna toggle here on floating. And I'm just gonna make an example. So if I wanted to add a blank, so blank is just an empty square or rectangle, I can do that and I can put it here if I want it for some reason. I can go on the layout page and I'm like, you know what? I want this to be dark. Okay, that's the border. I want the background to be dark. Pam. Okay, this is not a good example of how to use floating, but just for you to know that you have these two options and there's a lot of times that you are going to need this or find it useful. But what we were doing was to add a title. So please go again onto objects and choose text. We're still floating and let's choose tiled. Okay, so let's drag text on the top. Okay, so you can adjust it later, but drag it as much as the top as possible. Now I'm gonna call the dashboard sales dashboard. Give it a 26 font and put it in the middle. Yes, this is a bit overkill, don't you think? Let's give it less space. Okay, what I want to do now is get rid of these small titles because we don't really need it. Once we say it's a sales dashboard, the rest is quite intuitive. Of course, you can always leave the titles and of course you can make them as descriptive as you like. But I'm gonna go ahead and hide them. Now, we still have these legends here. So, okay, what I would like to do is to click here. So here we have, it's a container, right? The blue one is a container that contains both legends. So yes, I just want this one, this sales one. I'm gonna click on more options and I want to make it floating. Remember what we just did before? So I'm gonna make it floating. Then I'm gonna get rid of everything else, which is this blue container. Okay, so if you click just on this, you're just getting rid of this part. If you click on and it becomes blue, you're getting rid of the container. So just get rid of it. You'll have a pop-up that says, hey, are you sure you want to delete me? And you say, yes, please. Okay, so it's up to your taste. If you want, you can keep this legend here. And this is can be a nice use of floating because if you were using the tiled option, it would take up the whole space. But here you can just put it on top of our map. Why not? Cute. Up to you. Okay, so there is one more thing I want to do. If you remember, I did it in the demo. I want to make this dashboard interactive. So a nice way to do that is to go here on our map, and you see this little funnel. Click on it. It should become white. And if you click again, you see use as filter, don't use as filter. So now we have selected to use this map as a filter. And what will happen now is if I click on Nevada, the whole dashboard is filtered by Nevada. So if I'm a sales manager or a supervisor and I want to see how my salespeople in Nevada are doing, I just click on Nevada and say, okay, this is the progress over time. Their strongest product is binders. Cool. Let's look at Texas. Okay, yeah, they were really strong on September 2017, and so on and so forth. So this is a tip, general tip for user to help our users out. I'm gonna add instructions under our title. So I'm gonna reduce the font because I want it to be a subtitle in a way. So I'm gonna write, click on the map to filter the entire dashboard. Or you can write, click on any state on the map to filter the entire dashboard. Okay, let's make this a bit smaller or a bit down. All right. Again, how does this work? You click once, you filter, you click again on the same state, you unfilter, and you see the whole sales. This is not a unique feature of maps. If we wanted, we could filter by the bar chart. So you see I'm selecting tables. It's really interesting what happens with a map. And we see only the sales for phones or for chairs. Again, if you wish, you can do the same with the line chart. So we will only see, if we click up here, the sales for November 2020, or for December 2018, or March 2017. Okay, but I like to keep it with the map. Okay, and now let's go in presentation mode. This is what it will look like when you share it. All right, guys, I think we've done a lot today. I hope you all have your finished dashboard, and we have 6 more minutes. So I would like to give you guys this time for questions.